Hello, children. Good morning. How are you all? I hope you all are doing well. I welcome you again to your English class. And today we will do Prose 2 from your Honeysuckle book. And the name of the prose is An Indian American Woman in Space, Kalpana Chawla. Before reading this chapter, let me ask you one question. Do you know anything about an astronaut, Kalpana Chawla? Well, you will get to know a lot about Kalpana Chawla through this story. But before reading the story, let's have an excursion into space. Have you ever seen the clear night sky full of innumerable stars and planets? Where are all these situated? Countless stars and all planets in the solar system are situated in space. Okay. What is space? Space is the region beyond Earth's atmosphere. Space is the region beyond Earth's atmosphere. Have you ever thought about visiting space? Who can visit space and how? An astronaut visits space wearing a spacesuit and by a spacecraft. This is spacesuit and spacecraft picture. Come, let's visit space. This is the launching ground. Our spacecraft will start from here. We are high up in the sky now. Look that beautiful greenish planet, our Earth. Let's know about one of the greatest astronauts, Kalpana Chawla. You all must know that an astronaut is a person who has been trained for traveling in space. Okay? An astronaut is a person who has been trained for traveling in space. So, this is an inspirational real life story of Kalpana Chawla, a girl from a small town who is fondly been remembered by the world for her remarkable achievements and success in space. Kalpana Chawla was the first American astronaut and the first woman in Indian origin to reach the space. In 1997, Kalpana Chawla became part of the international crew aboard the US Space Shuttle Columbia, becoming the first woman born in India to go into space. But sadly, the second mission in Columbia ended in tragedy. So, what was the tragedy that never happened before? How Kalpana Chawla became an astronaut and how her journey towards the space ended in tragedy. We will get the answers for all these questions through this story. So let's start this inspirational story and let's know more about Kalpana Chawla. Kalpana Chawla, the first Indian woman astronaut, was bold enough to make her career in aeronautics. She was a source of inspiration to her friends and colleagues. She is a role model for many young Indian women. This is an imaginary interview conducted in her own school. Kalpana Chawla did nearly a billion Indians proud when she embarked on her first space mission on November 19, 1997. About her childhood. Born in Karnal in Haryana on July 1, 1961, Chawla completed her schooling from the Tagore School in the city in 1976 and later took a degree in aeronautical engineering from Punjab Engineering College in 1982. Chawla had a passion for flying and enjoyed hiking, backpacking and reading. Chawla went on to do her masters in aerospace engineering from University of Texas in 1984 and later doctorate of philosophy aerospace engineering from University of Colorado in 1988. About her career. In 1998, Kalpana Chawla started work at NASA Ames Research Center in the area of powered lift computational fluid dynamics. In 1993, Kalpana Chawla joined Overset Methods, Los Altos, California as vice president and research scientist to form a team with other researchers specializing in simulation of moving multiple body problems. Her first space mission began on November 19, 1997 as part of the 6 astronaut crew that flew the Space Shuttle Columbia flight STS-87. In 2000, she was selected for her second flight as part of the crew of STS-107. About her NASA missions. Selected by NASA in December 1994, Kalpana Chawla reported to the Johnson Space Center in March 1995 as an astronaut candidate in the 15th group of astronauts. After completing a year of training and evaluation, she was assigned as crew representative to work technical issues for the astronaut office, robotics and computer branches. Her assignments included work on development of robotic situational awareness displays and testing space shuttle control software in the Shuttle Avionics Integration Laboratory. In November 1996, Kalpana Chawla was assigned as mission specialist and prime robotic arm operator on STS-87. In January 1998, she was assigned as crew representative for shuttle and station flight crew equipment and subsequently served as lead for astronaut office, crew systems and habitability section. She flew on STS-87 in 1997 and STS-107 in 2003, logging 30 days, 14 hours and 54 minutes in space. In November 1996, Kalpana Chawla was assigned as mission specialist and prime robotic arm operator on STS-87. About her space flight experience. STS-87 Columbia from November 19 to December 5, 1997. Experiments designed to study how the weightless environment of space affects various physical processes and on observations of the Sun's outer atmospheric layers. Two members of the crew performed on spacewalk. STS-87 made 252 orbits of the Earth, traveling 6.5 million miles in 376 hours and 34 minutes. Next, STS-107 Columbia from January 16 to February 1, 2003. The 16-day flight was a dedicated science and research mission. Working 24 hours a day in two alternating shifts, the crew successfully conducted approximately 80 experiments. The STS-107 mission ended abruptly on February 1, 2003, when Space Shuttle Columbia and the crew perished during entry, 16 minutes prior to scheduled landing. About her death. Columbia Shuttle Disaster. Chawla died in the Space Shuttle Columbia disaster, which occurred on February 1, 2003, when the Space Shuttle disintegrated over Texas during re-entry into the Earth's atmosphere. When the death of all 7 crew members shortly before it was scheduled to conclude its 28th mission, STS-107. Awards that she received. Congressional Space Medal of Honor, NASA Space Flight Medal, NASA Distinguished Service Medal. Her memorial. Shortly after her last mission, India renamed its first weathered satellite Kalpana 1 in her honor. She died a hero and a role model for many young women, particularly those in her hometown of Karnal, where she periodically returned to encourage young girls to follow in her footsteps. The Kalpana Chawla ISU Scholarship Fund was founded. The Kalpana Chawla Award was instituted by the Government of Karnataka in 2004 for young women scientists. Now let's get into the story. An Indian American woman in space, Kalpana Chawla. Let me give you the summary for the topic. As a child, Kalpana never dreamt of space travel. It was not sufficient for her to graduate from an engineering college. After graduating as an aeronautical engineer from Punjab Engineering College, she went for a master's degree to the United States, in spite of her father's opposition. Later, she did her PhD in the subject. She had the pride of being the first India-born American woman astronaut to blast off from Florida. and be a part of the successful space mission. Kalpana was born in Karnal, Haryana, but was a naturalized US citizen. She married a flight instructor, John Ferry Harrison. Apart from being an astronaut, she was also trained to fly single and multi engine land airplanes, single seaplanes, and gliders. She was a certified flight instructor. After qualifying as a pilot, she decided to apply to NASA's Space Shuttle program and was selected for training as an astronaut. She was an extraordinary woman who thought differently and was an enthusiastic and optimistic. Her first space mission was 16 days long. During this time, she traveled 10.45 million kilometers in 252 orbits. So, the crew had 7 members and they conducted 80 experiments. They also checked if food could be grown in space, how stronger metals and faster computer chips could be created. The news of Columbia disaster made everyone grief-stricken. A shock wave was spread everywhere. A journalist called her a heroine. She had enormous potential and wide information, encyclopedic knowledge of each subject. Her achievements were actually marvelous. She created history and became an inspiration for everyone. Her life is a testimony that dreams can get success. The only thing we need to make them a reality is courage and vision. Let's look at the explanation. So, this story starts with a news report with the headline Tragedy in Space. US Space Shuttle Columbia breaks into flames. In an unprecedented space tragedy, US Space Shuttle Columbia, carrying India born American astronaut Kalpana Chawla and 6 others, broke apart in flames as it streaked over Texas towards its landing strip on Saturday, 1st February 2003, killing all 7 on board. The shuttle lost contact with NASA at about 9 am as it came in for landing. It was flying at an altitude of over 200,000 feet and traveling at over 20,000 km per hour when ground control lost contact with the shuttle. Columbia had lifted off on 16th January 2003 from the Kennedy Space Center, Florida. It had stayed in orbit for 16 days and the 7-member crew conducted 80 experiments before it began its downward journey, which ended in tragedy. This was Columbia's 28th space flight and the shuttle was said to be good for 100 flights. So, broke apart means crashed on board, on or in aircraft. So, this story starts with the explanation of the headlines from the newspaper. That is, US Space Shuttle Columbia, which was carrying India born American astronaut Kalpana Chawla and 6 others, crashed over Texas while landing on Saturday, 1st February 2003, killing all 7 on board. Sharp at 9 am, the shuttle lost its contact with NASA. So it was flying at an altitude of over 200,000 feet and its traveling speed was 20,000 km per hour when ground control lost its contact with the shuttle. So Columbia took its 28th flight on 16th January 2003 from the Kennedy Space Center, Florida. It stayed in orbit for 6 days and crew members did 80 experiments before beginning its tragic journey towards the land. This shuttle had been claimed to be good for 100 flights more. First paragraph. Kalpana Chawla said that she never dreamed as a child in Karnal that she would cross the frontiers of space. It was enough that her parents allowed her to attend engineering college after she graduated from Tagore School. So, allowed means permitted. So, Kalpana's birthplace was Karnal. She said that she never dreamed to ever cross the leaders of space even. It was enough for her that her parents permitted her to attend engineering college after her graduation from Tagore School. Second paragraph. After a Bachelor of Science degree in Aeronautical Engineering, against great opposition from her father, she went for a master's degree to the United States of America. She later earned her PhD in aerospace engineering. Kalpana Chawla was the first Indian American woman astronaut to blast off from the launch pad at Cape Canaveral, Florida, and participate in a successful mission in space. Her family from India cheered along with staff at the Kennedy Space Center as they watched the Columbia lift off. So, astronaut means a person trained to serve as a crew member of their spacecraft. Blast off means take off from a launching site. So, despite her father's opposition, Kalpana went for a master's degree to the United States of America after completing her bachelor's degree in aeronautical engineering. Later, she did her PhD in aerospace engineering, and she was the first Indo American woman astronaut to take off from the rocket launching site at Cape Canaveral, Florida, for a successful mission in space. Her family from India cheered along with the staff at the Kennedy Space Center as they watched the Columbia lift off. Next paragraph. Kalpana was born in Karnal, Haryana, but was a naturalized US citizen, married to flight instructor John Ferry Harrison. Besides being an astronaut, she was licensed to fly single and multi engine land airplanes, single engine seaplanes, and gliders. She was also a certified flight instructor. After qualifying as a pilot, Kalpana began to consider another challenge, applying to NASA's Space Shuttle program. She was first hired as a research scientist at NASA. In 1994, she was selected by NASA for training as an astronaut. So, besides mean apart from gliders, fixed wing aircraft. So, Kalpana's birthplace was Karnal, Haryana, but she became a US citizen. She was married to flight instructor John Ferry Harrison. Apart from being an astronaut, she was adapted at flying single and multi-engine land airplanes, single engine seaplanes, and gliders. She was also a certified flight instructor. After qualifying as a pilot, Kalpana took another challenge and applied to NASA's Space Shuttle program. First, she joined NASA as a research scientist. In 1994, she was selected for training as an astronaut by NASA. Next paragraph. When asked what it was like being a woman in her field, she replied, I really never ever thought while pursuing my studies or doing anything else that I was a woman or a person from a small city or a different country. I pretty much had my dreams like anyone else and I followed them. And people who were around me fortunately always encouraged me and said, if that's what you want to do, carry on. So, pursuing means following or continuing. So, people asked her about her feelings as being a woman in the field. She replied that she never thought that she was a woman or she belonged to a small city or from another country. Rather, she had her own dreams and she followed them like any other person at that place. Unfortunately, people in her surroundings always motivated her to pursue her dreams and carry on with the airiness of her choice. Next paragraph. Kalpana's first space mission in the Space Shuttle Columbia was 15 days, 16 hours, and 34 minutes long. During this time, she went around the Earth 252 times, traveling 10.45 million kilometers. The crew included a Japanese and a Ukrainian astronaut. The crew performed experiments such as pollinating plants to observe food growth in space and tests for making stronger metals and faster computer chips, all for a price tag of about $56 million. So, pollinating means the process of taking pollen from one place to another for fertilization. So, this paragraph says that Columbia was her first space mission. It took 15 days, 16 hours, and 34 minutes to complete it. She covered 10.45 kilometers while orbiting around the Earth for 252 times. The crew had a Japanese and a Ukrainian astronaut. The crew tried to pollinate plants to check food growth in space and also conducted tests for making stronger metals and faster computer chips, all for a price tag of about $56 million. Next paragraph. On the Saturday night, when the news about the Columbia disaster broke, there was shock and disbelief. The town of Colonel spent a sleepless night as thousands of households stayed glued to the television sets in the hope that Kalpana and the crew had somehow survived. A journalist wrote, "She was a heroine. It takes enormous ability to become an astronaut. You need to know a lot about everything, from biology to astrophysics to aeronautical engineering. In this age of super specialization, you must have encyclopedic knowledge to be an astronaut. Her achievement is awe inspiring." So, disaster means a sudden accident or natural calamity that causes damage or loss of life. Disbelief means lack of belief. Glued means sticked. Enormous means huge. Encyclopedic means complete. Astrophysics means branch of astronomy that studies physical nature of celestial bodies. Aeronautical means science of building aircrafts. This paragraph says that people were filled with grief and were not able to believe the news of Columbia disaster. They were stuck to the television sets to get the news of Kalpana's survival. A journalist called her a heroine. It is a matter of huge potential to be an astronaut. One needs to have a thorough knowledge of every subject from biology to astrophysics to aeronautical engineering. Her achievements were actually remarkable. Last paragraph. For millions of young Indians, the story of Kalpana Chawla, a girl from a small town who touched the skies, had become an inspiration. In a message that she sent from aboard the space shuttle Columbia to the students of her college in Chandigarh, Kalpana said, "The path from dreams to success does exist. May you have the vision to find it, the courage to get on to it. Wishing you a great journey. There will surely be many who start off on this journey to fulfill their dreams." So, this paragraph says Kalpana's story stimulated thousands of young minds to do something creative and innovative. She touched the skies and became an inspiration for many. She even sent a message from Columbia to the students of her college in Chandigarh. She said, "The path from dreams to success does exist. May you have the vision to find it, the courage to get on to it. Wishing you a great journey." There must be many people who might have even started the journey to make their dreams a reality. Now it's time to discuss the class work. Okay, write your class work neatly without spelling error. First Roman synonyms. First Roman synonyms. Glued, sticked, glued, sticked. Disbelief, lack of belief. Disbelief, lack of belief. Spacecraft, a vehicle used for traveling in space. A vehicle used for traveling in space. On board, on or in aircraft, or ship or other vehicle. On or in aircraft, ship or other vehicle. Gliders, fixed wing aircraft. Gliders, fixed wing aircraft. Glued, stick, disbelief, lack of belief, spacecraft, a vehicle used for traveling in space. On board, on or in aircraft, ship or other vehicle. Gliders, fixed wing aircraft. Second Roman, answer the following questions. Who was Kalpana Chawla? Kalpana Chawla was an Indian born American astronaut and was the first woman born in India to go into space. Kalpana Chawla was an Indian born American astronaut and was the first woman born in India to go into space. Second question. What was the name of the Kalpana's first space mission? What was the name of the Kalpana's first space mission? Columbia was the name of the Kalpana's first space mission. Columbia was the name of the Kalpana's first space mission. Third question. How much this mission cost? How much this mission cost? This mission cost for a price tag of about $56 million. This mission cost for a price tag of about $56 million. Fourth question. Whom did Kalpana marry? Kalpana married to flight instructor John Pierre Harrison. Kalpana married to flight instructor John Pierre Harrison. Fifth question. What abilities does an astronaut have according to the journalist? What abilities does an astronaut have according to the journalist? An astronaut needs to know a lot about biology and aeronautical engineering. An astronaut needs to know a lot about biology and aeronautical engineering. He or she must have a wide knowledge of science subjects. He or she must have a wide knowledge of science subjects. So, an astronaut needs to know a lot about biology and aeronautical engineering. He or she must have a wide knowledge of science subjects. Next, we will do poem 4, Beauty, written by E.A. Shaw. Poem 4, Beauty, written by E.A. Shaw. Before we proceed, we know that we are attracted by beauty. Yes or no? Yes. We are surrounded by beauty. And God has given this beauty to us to enjoy. Before going into the summary and detailed explanation, let's know something about the poet. Name E.A. Shaw, 1926 to 2014. She was a writer, poet and educator. She was born on 9th September 1926 in New Mexico and she was died on 21st July 2014 at the age of 87. She had written her first book named I Am a Pablo Indian Girl at the age of 13. This book explains the life and culture of Pablo community. She also appeared in the short film named Fashion Arises. So without any further delay, let's start the summary. Let's first focus on the title Beauty. What do you understand by the term beauty? In simple term, we can say that something or anything that makes us look and feel good, which makes us feel happy inside and outside, isn't it? But now, if I say that this small word with 6 letters, that is beauty, is simple as well as complex term, will you agree to it? You start giving lots of synonyms for it, isn't it? But what's the thing that makes the term complex? Let me tell you. You all must have heard or seen which goes like beauty, lies in the eyes of a beholder. What does it mean? It means that beauty is not something very distinct or specific. It is a perception that varies from person to person. For example, the thing which appears beautiful to me may not appear beautiful to you. And similarly, the thing which you feel beautiful may not be beautiful for me. So, basically, beauty does not have a barrier, and it is this characteristic of beauty that makes it complex topic with a large and broad horizon to deal with. Beauty can be classified into two. One is outer beauty, another one is inner beauty. Apart from these two beauties, there is another beauty which the poet talks about in this poem. For the poet, the real beauty is natural beauty or the beauty of the nature, that is, the beauty of the environment. So, in this poem, the poet talks about two beauties. One, the beauty of nature, which she glorifies in the lines of the poem, and the second, the inner beauty, which we human beings possess. So, let's start the beautiful poem with its summary. The poem reiterates that beauty lies in the eyes of the beholder. So the poet conveys the idea that we are surrounded by beauty from everywhere. So the nature has assimilated every beautiful thing from every nook and corner. Nature has created music and rhythm in all its activities. So the beauty is observed in every creature of nature, be it the sunlight, the trees, birds, farmers, worker that works in fields, are working hard with nature. Seeing the blossoming and ripening of the harvest, the farmers dance. When everything becomes quiet, one could hear clearly the sound of falling of raindrops, muttering of singers. So, here the poet emphasized that beauty lies in doing good works, having positive thoughts. So, one must keep on doing their good deeds. It should be reflected in your leisure time and even while taking rest. Let's learn some new words from the poem. Wind sighing, blowing of wind. Wind sighing, blowing of wind. In earnest, sincerely or honestly. Okay, in earnest, sincerely or honestly. In yourself, inside one's own self. Inside one's own self. Good deeds, noble actions, or happy thoughts. Good deeds, noble actions, or happy thoughts. Next, repeat themselves, or reflected or shown. Okay, repeat themselves, reflected or shown. Chanting, singing. Corn, food crops. Corn means food crops. Harvest, crop. Heard, listened to. Dreams, ambitions. So these are some new words given in this poem. So the explanation of the poem Beauty. First stanza. Beauty is seen in the sunlight, the trees, the birds, corn growing, and people working or dancing for their harvest. So, corn means the chief cereal crop of wheat, oats, maize, barley, etc. Harvest, the time of the year when the crop is ready. Here she says that beauty is in the eyes of the beholder. It is the attitude of a person. So, beauty is everywhere. It can be seen in the sunlight, the trees, the birds, the growing crops, people who dance to show their happiness when their crops are ready. So, beauty is in the eyes of the beholder. It is the attitude of a person. So, beauty is everywhere. It can be seen in the sunlight, the trees, the birds, the growing crops. So, people who dance to show their happiness when their crops are ready. Next answer, beauty is heard in the night, wind sighing, rain falling, or a singer chanting. Anything in earnest, sincere, and honest conviction. So, sighing means sound of a deep, loud breath or exhale taken in relief. Chanting, singing. So, here the poet says, beauty is a thing to be felt. It can be heard means one can listen to it. Like one can hear its sound when night falls, when the wind blows and creates a sound. When rain falls on the earth, when a singer sings, one can even feel it in sincere and honest conviction of a person. So, beauty is a thing to be felt, it can be heard, means one can listen to it, like one can hear its sound when night falls, when the wind blows and creates a sound. When rain falls on the earth, when a singer sings, one can even feel it in sincere and honest conviction of a person. Last answer, beauty is in yourself. Good deeds, happy thoughts that repeat themselves in your dreams, in your work, and even in your rest. So, here the poet says, beauty is not always external or visible. It is within and it can be abstract also. One's views, good acts, one's wishes, which one even imagines in dreams. Okay, beauty is not always external or visible. It is within and it can be abstract also. One's views, good acts, one's wishes, which one even imagines in dreams. So, beauty can be one way of work or even the style of taking rest. So, here poet says beauty can be one way of work or even the style of taking rest. So, thus beauty is very vast. It cannot be confined to one thing, rather, it is there in everything. So, beauty cannot be confined to one thing, rather, it is there in everything. We just need eyes and a heart to see it. Okay, we just need eyes and a heart to see beauty in ourselves. Children, can you hear beauty? How beauty can be heard? Beauty can be heard the way the birds call when they wake, when dry leaves rustle, when little birds trip or twitter, when innocent children laugh. There are many other things in the nature in which one can hear beauty. Yes or no? Beauty is a property of certain things. Something is beautiful if it is nice to look at it, hear it, feel it, taste it, smell it, or think about it. It is also the name of a feeling that is hard to describe. Let's conclude the poem. What is beautiful in life? Waking up in the morning, you're here, you're alive, you have this day. The face of someone you love. So be brave, be connected, but also be present. Life is really beautiful.